everyone, and welcome to the Private Practice Show. So, sorry, we tried to do this, and then all of a sudden there was a sound problem, or who knows what was going on. So anyway, we're trying again. We have two awesome guests tonight. Our guests are Sonia and Yvonne from Mar Speech, and I've gotten to know both of them in the Start and Grow Your Private Practice programs. And it has been so cool to watch them grow their practices, really, or their practice. They have a partnership from nothing to something pretty special. And so let me get them on here. I'm feeling good about this time. Got those fingers crossed. As you're coming in, if you have already started your practice, there we go. Awesome. Look at this. Second time's the charm. How are y'all doing?
Hey, Jenna. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you guys for doing this. I really appreciate it. And I think that y'all have a very unique story to tell about your private practice and kind of how it came to be and how you're running it and all that kind of other stuff. So before we kind of dive in, I'm sure lots of people know who you are, but can y'all just kind of one by one introduce yourselves and share your name, your location, because that's important, and also the name of your practice?
I'll let you go first, Yvonne. No, go ahead.
So my name's Yvonne Garza. I'm based out of San Antonio, and our practice is called Mar Speech Therapy. Well, Mar Pediatric Therapy, right?
True story. Yeah. Big steps coming. So I'm Sonia Violette, and I am the other co-owner of Mar Speech Therapy, and I'm based in Maryland.
Okay. So already anyone who's watching slash listening has noticed a couple things. One is that they have one practice, but it's in two different places and with two different owners. So I think that there's probably people who are really curious about how that came to be. So what I would love to do is actually to kind of start at the beginning of your private practice journey. Either well, I'm just gonna ask you a question. Did y'all start out individually at all, or did you start as a partnership from day one?
It was a partnership from day one.
Nice. And how did y'all know each other?
So Yvonne and I worked together in San Antonio 9 years ago, give or take. We were at the same campus, and we always kind of talked about how one day when I move back to Texas, we're going to start a private practice. And I never moved back, and I never moved back. And then I finally called her. Was it 2 years ago, Yvonne, now, or 3 years?
It was 2 years ago. Yeah, it was about in January, close to February, because that's when I was on my way to take a trip, and that's
She was. I called and I go, hey, let's start a private practice. And she goes, hey, I'm going to Paris. I'll let you know when I get back what I think from Paris. I was like, okay.
I love that. What beautiful timing though. That's actually kind of a good thing. I feel like sometimes people make big decisions when they're on big trips. So I think that that's kind of a cool thing. I love that. So what happened next?
After that, when I came back from Paris, I was just like, okay, I thought about it and let's do it. I've always this was our dream. I mean, as we were writing, was like you would say, like one day, we are going to do it on our own, and we are going to make sure that we're not taken advantage of or anything like that. Just because we know that in our field, it can be a lot of work. It is a lot of work, a lot of report writing, a lot of notes that we have to. So it's a lot comes into play being a speech therapist, and so that's when we started kind of brainstorming and just saying like, this is what we want for others, not just for ourselves, but also for others to know like it's not okay to work off the clock.
Right. And so it's so interesting. I feel like so many SLPs and OTs, I'm sure, kind of feel the same way, where they're a little nervous to hire people, a little nervous to have their own business, but they also totally recognize that some of the bad stuff in our profession, about being overworked and not paid appropriately and some of those kind of other things. and they want that for themselves, and they want to be able to also provide that to others. And so like I always just remind people, like, you're going to be a great boss. Like, yes, you got to figure out like hiring, got to figure out the legalities, you got to figure out all that kind of other stuff, but like if your heart is in the right place and you want to create a life that's better for you yourself now, for your business partner, for your future employees, contractors, everything else, like I think that's awesome.
No, 100%. And it's been a road and it's been a lot to get to where we are, but that's definitely one of the hallmarks because we didn't start off hiring, we started off just her and I. And then when we did start hiring, that's one of two of the things that are really important to us is that we do not want SLP burnout from our staff. And we also want to make sure that our staff are connecting with our families, whether it be at one of the school contracts or whether it be in the clinic. And those are just, for Yvonne and I, really important for our staff at Mars Beach.
Yeah, and again,
Definitely.
I really applaud y'all for going into your private practice with that intention in mind and building something that has led to that. So, again, you guys are in two different places, and I kind of know a little bit of the backstory, but for people who are new to you, where did you actually start out and how did that work?
So we started off literally in both places at the same time, Jenna. It's been a lot, and I think for anyone who wants to have a partner, I've seen some caution against going into it. But honestly, I don't know what I would have done without Yvonne, and we definitely wouldn't be where we are if it hadn't been a collaboration.
Yeah.
So yeah, we started off both of us just kind of seeing clients privately on the side. And I got lucky and I kind of fell into a school contract right away. It's for a small charter school. So I was going part-time with Alliance, and then I had the school contract and then private clients. And then what I think like that December, we fell into another, and I don't mean fell because we did look for these, another school contract in San Antonio. And so then that's when Yvonne got to quit her job full time, and I'll let you talk, Yvonne.
Uh, I was like, okay, what do I do? Do I like continue working and just kind of like slowly get into this and like just do it. Let's just do it. And I was just like, you know what? Like if I don't do this, chance and we're never gonna go. And so that's when I was like, okay, I need to put it in this act,
I think it, I think it might be breaking up a little bit. Are y'all having a hard time with the
Yeah,
audio, or is it just me?
no, it's breaking up a bit.
Breaking up a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you
Um,
mind restarting that story just because I want to make sure that everyone is able to hear it?
so yeah, I put in my 2 weeks and then I was like, let's do it. Let's do this. I'm gonna take this risk. I'm just gonna go with it and see where it takes me and see where it takes us. And so I did, and I think it was the best thing that we could have ever done.
And one of the things that that Sonia said that I think is really important is that there can be risks with doing a partners, but it can also be a tremendous reward, right? And one of the things that I've really noticed with partnerships is that a lot of times people really balance each other out. Like the partnerships I think
mhm.
that do the best, or let me just back up. I think that when partnerships can sometimes go wrong is when people either have two very bold personalities and see things like not in the same way and are like butting heads a lot. When partnerships work really nicely, which I can tell that y'all's does, it's because people complement each other and because there's also really good open communication. So, I am definitely not anti partnership by any means, but I do think that you do have to have the right personality to work together as partners, as well as being able to bring the right kind of strengths into the business so that you can balance each other out from a business point of view. Do either of you have any kind of thoughts on that?
Yeah.
No, I 100% agree with you. I think that her and I both have different strengths that we bring to the table, but I also think that Yvonne is one of my favorite people in the entire world. And even with that being that statement, as true it is, there's been times where her and I are just kind of like, okay, we have to figure this out because it's not working right now. But that's like, I think, I don't know, like what, 10-20% of the time. The other 80 to 90% of the time, it's just the better decision that we went into this together.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that like Sonia definitely is like the brains of all of this. Like just I'm not even joking. Super like SLP business owner. Like she's just honestly the business partner that I could ever have asked for. Like she goes above and beyond, and she has all these ideas, and there's great ideas, and it's just like I'm gonna do it. Let's do this and let's do that, and like and looking so good, and like I feel like our business is just looking it's growing fast because of Sonia.
How sweet is that? How sweet is that? So and that's lovely, right? It's wonderful because partnerships are kind of in a weird way like a marriage, right? Like you have this like kind of business marriage
Hmm.
going on. So, okay. So, whether or not Sonia really is kind of the business, brains behind the operation or not, which she's shaking her head vigorously to say no. Yvonne, what is one of your, what is, you have many strengths, but what is one of the strengths that you are like really have for the business that maybe Sonia leans on?
Honestly, I think I'm just the one that like I definitely depend on Sonia a lot. And like this, and I'm the person that's like, okay, let me hear you out. Let's kind of talk this out, and then I'm kind of mostly like, let's pump the brakes a little bit, and let's think about these ideas that we have,
Yes.
and then flow. That's my.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, let's go back. Let's think of everything first, and then let's make that decision before making a decision right away and jumping
Yeah.
on it. So I think that's more of me.
Okay, but you need both of those people, right? Like, I think that y'all probably heard me talk about this in the Grow program a little bit, but the idea of like in any business, and for those of you who are listening, think about Disney, right? Walt Disney World and the Disney Company. So Disney, Walt Disney, who's the one who gets all the credit, he was the visionary. It was his idea for the parks and the whole thing was Walt Disney, but it was actually his brother Roy who made the whole thing happen, right? And so in every business too, there has to be someone who kind of is comes up with a lot of the ideas and is the one who's kind of like coming up with all that stuff. And then there's the other person who has to kind of maybe rein that person in a little bit and also like have those conversations that is like, okay, I love that idea, but maybe not now. Or like, I think we need to like take a step back, figure this out first, and then do this. So it sounds like y'all may have a little bit of that kind of balance working out for you.
It's an accurate statement. I do need her to stop me sometimes, and I do need her to tell me to calm down sometimes. So I always kind of describe Yvonne as just like the much nicer, put together version of myself because that really is her. When we come across in meetings, she's so professional, she's so great. I'm typically in jeans and a t-shirt, and I'm like, okay, guys, let's go. So yes.
Yes, I love that. And it was that's so funny that you say that too, because I remember running into y'all at Asha, and it was just like so much fun. Like I love seeing people who like I've gotten to know from the internet and from social media and from my programs and everything. When you get to meet people in real life, it's like the best thing in the world. So hopefully we'll our paths will cross in person again in a little bit. One of my next questions that a lot of people are always curious about is where do people find clients, right? So you obviously have the school contracts, that's part of your business model, but where are the clients finding you? And I'm just personally curious, is there any difference in how people are finding you in the two different locations?
Yeah, I can go first and then you want to go? Yeah, definitely. So yeah, we have the school contracts, and that's been a huge source of income for us, being able to do that, balance that, and hire staff for that. And we have that in Texas, and then we also have that in Maryland, school contracts, both locations, and that's grown for us in both locations as time has gone on. So that's been very beneficial. It's very consistent. You don't have to worry about insurance not paying on time. Um, so it's if you can get into that, and we're both school-based SLPs for 10 years, so that's kind of a piece of our heart is there, so that was nice. And then additionally, in Maryland, we started off private pay in Maryland and Texas. And for us, it wasn't working. I know it works well for some people, and I think for them, I'm glad. For us, it wasn't. So we did start taking insurance. And so, we were doing home health basically for like the first, I don't know, 3 months. And I quickly decided that I hated home health. I was not a fan of it. So I quickly got an office space, and it was just a small office space. But I mean, that was not even a year ago. And we've moved to an office space that's like quadruple the size. We're going to be getting a sensory gym installed in the next month, which is so exciting. I'm so excited about the sensory gym. And we just added OT at our clinic as well. So we added a discipline. So a lot of our clients have come from referrals from other clinics. We've networked with other clinics in the area in Maryland, insurance referrals. We advertise on Facebook groups. That I trolled that a lot when we first started, was the Facebook groups. So that's Maryland, and unfortunately we just had to go back on a wait list officially like this week, which is nice that we've filled up the clinic, but also it breaks my heart to have to tell parents that we're on a wait list right now.
Right. But at some point, there might be somebody to help take people off that wait list, maybe.
Oh no, I mean, as it is right now, I have 2 full-time SLPs working with me in Maryland. So there's 3 of us right now, and that wasn't the case a year ago. And then we have our OT, and we're looking to hire right now. So we are trying to grow still.
Yeah. See? So, I mean, that's the thing that I think is also really cool is like, I mean, again, y'all have not been at this for all that long, right? You've got 2 established clinics in 2 different places, and to have like, contracts and employees and multidisciplinary now, like that is really big. And I think that it really also speaks to the demand for our services, right? Like if, if I was helping people start pizza restaurants, for example, like I don't know about where y'all are, but like there's more than enough pizza places where I live. Like no need for more pizza, and I like pizza, right? But for clinics and for therapy services, for speech, for OT, all of the the other kind of allied health professions, there's a tremendous need in pretty much every area, whether it's a busy city or a rural area. So like it's not surprising to me that y'all have been able to grow so quickly. Okay, what about in Texas? How in Texas are y'all finding clients?
So in Texas, what we've done is Sonia like she made these stickers with QR codes, and so I went through all of these different different offices, and I um, dropped off our pamphlet, gave them our information, told them, hey, this is what this is that we're accepting, and sure enough, they're like, oh, that's perfect. Have like have
I
something
think it's a little bit choppy again.
It is.
Yeah.
I'll say it really. So
Yeah, sure.
we did baskets, and we did that in Maryland too. I forgot about that. We did promotion baskets, and Yvonne went around to different doctors' offices, and we gave them like she did such cute baskets. And so we gave them the cute baskets with the food and then the pamphlets and everything. And then she also went around to some ABA clinics, and then also the Facebook group. So that's where I think a lot of your clients came from, was from the promotional baskets, right? And then it's been word of mouth now that because Yvonne's such an amazing clinician. I mean, she was literally my son's SLP. So I say that with all of the certainty in the world. So word of mouth, now that she's been seeing clients privately, we get emails and phone calls all the time saying, I heard about this SLP. We would love to see her. What do we need to do?
See, how great is that? And also like you do have to put yourself out there, right? Like people do have to know about you in order to find you. But Sonia, you said something really important, was just that that Yvonne's really good, right? And like that matters to people. When you people tell me all the time, like, Jenna, how do you get word of mouth marketing? I want word of mouth marketing. And I'm like, well, in order to get word of mouth marketing, like people have to know about you. And also you have to do a good job, right? You got to give people something to talk about, because I don't know about y'all, but if I have a great experience with a person or a restaurant or something like that, like I want to shout it from the rooftops, right? Like I want everyone to know you got to go to this person or go to this place, and people are going to feel the same way about you as a clinician. So you do a good job for somebody, and then they're going to spread the word about you. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. So that was a little bit about kind of where you're finding clients. I also really liked, Sonia, how you said about the private pay, that you tried private pay and ended up switching to insurance. I'm curious, what about in Texas? Is Texas still private pay only, or are y'all also doing insurance in Texas?
No, we're doing insurance. We have some that are private, but
It's mostly insurance. Okay, great. So insurance and school contracts.
Honestly, though, Jenna, like for me, it would have been easier to do private pay. I'll tell you, insurance has been a huge learning curve. There's been a lot that's gone into it, but I love that we take insurance. We've been talking about how we need to also get signed up to do Medicaid as well, because I know that there are families who can afford private pay. I do. I know that, but I love that we can support families whether they can do it privately or they can't. So for me, it's not just about getting more clients. I just love that we can support the families.
Yes, totally. And I mean, the reality is that there are more people who want to use their insurance, right? People who have insurance want to be able to use it. Even people who have money and maybe like, air quotes can afford private pay, people do prefer to use their insurance if they have it, right? So I do think it also really helps you cast a wider net in terms of like, when you do private pay, it's kind of a volume thing, right? It's like you see less clients because you can make more money, which I mean that's kind of cool if that's what you want your model to be. But also if you do insurance, you have a much wider pool of clients that you can help. There is a learning curve to billing, right? That there is a learning curve to that. But once you learn how to do it, you learn, and then there's also a trial and error kind of a learning that comes along with it too. That really helps. I do have a question. Do you have so because I know you've hired some clinicians. Have either of you, well, I know you're one practice, but have you all hired any non-clinical support in your practice?
Gosh, we need to. We like in capital letters. We haven't yet. Oh, no, that's not actually accurate. I mean, we've kind of like outsourced, right? Like we have a CPA.
Yeah.
We have a lawyer. We do have someone that does our billing for us. So we've outsourced because honestly, we only have so much headspace. And I will tell you, and this is like not a hard sell, but your course, without your course, we wouldn't be here. I will say that. It really was foundational and it just very much walked us through what we needed to do and we put in the work.
Yeah.
However, I am not a lawyer. I am not a CPA. And I've seen lots of people talk about doing their own billing,
Yeah.
but for us, that's just not something that we've done.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it has to do with a couple things. One, I think time. Like if you have the time and you're willing to learn how to do it, that's awesome. I'm all about outsourcing. Y'all know I love outsourcing. I love hiring. And so, but there's some people who really do like doing the billing, right? They like to keep a tab on it. They like to kind of, but there still are ways to do that, even if you've hired a biller. But once you get like you have to make a decision if you're going to do all the billing and whatnot, that costs time, right? It's free. I think a lot of people kind of wait to hire a biller because they're afraid of the cost, right? But the cost is their time,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so at some point people kind of start to make that shift. They're like, you know what, I could do this, but either I really hate it or perhaps I'm not good at it. And the other mindset shift that happens, we talk a lot about this in the Grow program, is that there are things that have to happen in your practice, but don't necessarily have to happen by you, right? Billing is a great example of one of those things. Love it. So, okay, so what's next for your practice, right? Are you ever moving back to Texas?
Uh, Probably at this point, probably not. So it's a good thing we started the practice in 2 states. Um, so do you want to try? I feel like I'm talking.
Yes,
Do
let's
you want
try
to see
again,
if it
Yvonne.
lets you?
Yeah.
So, I am. It's been a long wait. It's and a long journey to get a clinic going. Um, so we finally found one. We had our go over the contract. we're coming.
Oh, now it's
You're
going out
breaking
again.
up again. Okay, so what
Wait,
she's
wait.
trying to say, I promise I let her talk, I do. What she's trying to say is that she's opening up her own location, brick and mortar in San Antonio now. So she's been doing home visits, clinic visits, ABA visits, daycare, sorry, visits, but she did find an office in San Antonio. So we're hoping in the next month or two that she'll be able to get into that space. We need to get some construction done, so that's taking a little bit longer. So we'll have two brick and mortar locations. We're rebranding and we're doing it the legal way, so it's taking a little bit longer. We're no longer going to be MAR speech, we're going to be MAR pediatric therapy. Yeah, we're excited, and that's obviously because we added OT. So we wanted to make sure that families could know that they were coming to us for more than just speech. Um, so, and then, like I said, we have the sensory gym coming in Maryland, which is huge. It's so exciting, and all of our families are so ecstatic that we have that coming. Gosh, I don't know. I think that's kind of like our big things that we have coming up, right?
What what about employees in Texas? Is it just one, or do you have other staff members in Texas too? Three in Texas. Okay, so three in
Great.
Texas, and what is it, four in Maryland?
One, two, three, four. There's four of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's four of us right now.
Yeah. I mean, even that, I just like want to give y'all a little bit more praise because sometimes people don't see the progress that when you then say it, people are like, "Oh my gosh, I cannot believe that you've achieved this in like such a short period of time," right? Like that truly is remarkable. And it not only speaks to, the need for the services, right? But it speaks really to y'all's drive to want to provide these services for the different communities in which you live. And I think that like you're being rewarded too by, by feeling good, right? Like this, I can tell like because of your energy and whatnot that this is really filling your cup to do the kind of work that you're doing now that maybe like wasn't happening before. Is that accurate?
It is accurate. I wanted to say another thing too about our staff. We're really excited because this past year, we had two of our staff kind of go through great lengths to stay with us, which is really exciting. And we adore everybody that works for us. There in Maryland, all of my clinicians are amazing, and in San Antonio, the same. So we're really excited that they came back to work with us because they enjoyed the company and our philosophy. And then we were also really excited that our first hire was an SLPA, and she just got accepted into grad school. So we're really excited to see that as well, as far as like just being able to be a part of that journey and what they're doing with their careers.
Yeah. And that's a big tribute to y'all, right? To be able to say like, because then there are sometimes like, I don't know any of the circumstances, but like life happens sometimes and things can get challenging for people. But when you have a good boss, when you're working with great people, and also when you share the same mission, that's what's important, right? Because I think that pretty much everyone watching slash listening can think of a time when you were working for someone that you didn't really enjoy working for, right? I can think of several, and it just wasn't like it started out okay, and then that I do not like to be micromanaged. Jenna does not do well with being micromanaged, and like when all of a sudden that happened, I had to leave, right? But I think again, it speaks to y'all and also to the mission, because when people who work for someone else share that same vision and that same mission, that's what makes them stay for the long haul and also stay when times are tough for whatever the reason is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love it. So, what advice would y'all give to anyone who's watching slash listening who kind of like y'all were like, you know what, I'm gonna do this someday, right? Like I'm gonna do this when I move back from Texas or back to Texas or after I have a baby or after my husband retires or after X, Y, and Z. Like, what advice would you give to people who are like kind of putting off private practice?
Yeah, definitely. So I feel like I don't remember who posted this on Instagram, but it was someone that I don't remember the account, and I'm sorry. I promise I'm not trying to steal it. She posted something to the effect of everything's hard. Working in schools is hard. Working in clinics is hard. Everything is hard. but you need to choose your hard, right? And so I think for me and Yvonne both, this is hard. It's not just easy. We didn't fall into the contracts. We didn't fall, like, we've put a lot of work to get to where we are right now. And we've had a lot of amazing people lift us up to be here as well. But this is our hard. And for us, we see an end where we're going to be able to retire. We're going to be happy. We're going to be able to take care of our families. Is kind of, I think, my takeaway.
Yeah, totally.
Definitely. And I mean, even when I talk to people that are, let me know if I'm spotty,
Yeah. So
um,
far, so good.
are into,
Oh,
Oh, I jinxed it.
oh, they just do it. Go for it. Take the risk.
Perfect. Yeah. And thank you for saying that, because I know that y'all have grown this thing pretty quickly, right? But you started on the side, and I think that for a lot of people, like, you have to kind of get out of your head a little bit to think that when you start a private practice, that you are starting at the level that they are, right? You're not, right? You're starting with one client, and you can start with that one client on the side, and you could see that one client for a year, and maybe you pick up one or two other clients, and you just kind of start off kind of small, and then at some point maybe you grow and have a clinic and employees and all this kind of other stuff. But if you keep putting off doing this, you're also putting off helping people who need your help. You're putting off earning more money for your family. You're putting off like your own like fulfillment. If you're feeling like you're not fulfilled in your kind of day job, that you're like super fulfilled with your private clients, like you're putting that off, right? And so I'm a big believer in just starting small and seeing where your private practice leads, because it could lead to where y'all are. It could lead to bigger than that. It could lead to smaller than that. It doesn't matter, but it's not going to lead anywhere if you don't start.
yes, that's so well said.
I love it. So, where, if people have, been watching and listening, and they're totally inspired by what y'all have done, either from, the rate of your growth, the hiring, the partnership, the school contracts, all that kind of other stuff, where can people find you online?
Yeah, definitely. So we have the account that Yvonne's on, and that's our clinic at Mars Beach, marsbeach.com. Or that's the website. Sorry. And then I'm talking about Talking SLP from before we started the clinic.
I love it. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
So thank y'all so much for being on the show. Sorry for a couple of the audio issues, but we made it work. So thank y'all for that. But anyway, I'm so inspired by what y'all have done in a really relatively short period of time. And I just want you to keep going, right? Keep helping more people, keep helping your clients, obviously, but your communities, your employees, yourselves and your own families. Just keep going, because there's a huge need and y'all are filling it, and you're doing a great job.
Thanks, Jenna. Thanks for having us on your live. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. All right. Bye, everybody.